Ever wondered how to make the perfect pineapple upside-down cake? Well, you're in luck because today we're going to whip up this classic dessert that's sure to impress. Now, let's roll up our sleeves and get started. To create this delightful treat, we'll need a handful of simple ingredients. First up is unsalted butter, about half a cup or approximately 115 grams. Next, we need 3/4 of a cup or 150 grams of brown sugar. This will give our cake that rich caramel-like flavor. Then we'll need a can of pineapple slices, which is about 20 ounces. Make sure to drain them well. If you're feeling adventurous, you can add some maraschino cherries to the mix. They're optional, but they do add a lovely pop of color and a tangy sweetness. Moving on to the dry ingredients, we'll need 1½ cups or 190 grams of all-purpose flour, 1 cup or 200 grams of granulated sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and half a teaspoon of salt. For the wet ingredients, we'll need half a cup or 120 milliliters of pineapple juice, 2 eggs, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract to add that extra layer of flavor. As for the equipment, we'll need a 9-inch round cake pan, some mixing bowls, a whisk spatula, and of course an oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. So there we have it. We've got our ingredients ready and our equipment set. We're all geared up to start creating our scrumptious pineapple upside-down cake. I can already smell the sweet aroma of caramelized pineapple wafting through the air. Now that we have everything ready, let's begin the cooking process. Step 1. Melt the butter in a saucepan over low heat. It's like we're setting the stage for a sweet performance. The butter should melt slowly, becoming a liquid pool of golden potential. Now it's time to introduce the brown sugar. This is where the magic really begins. As the sugar meets the butter, it starts to dissolve, blending seamlessly into the butter. It's a beautiful dance of two ingredients becoming one. At this point, you want to keep your eyes on the saucepan. The goal is to create a smooth caramel sauce, a process that requires constant stirring. So grab your spoon and get stirring. You'll notice the mixture start to bubble and thicken, and soon enough, a rich caramel aroma will start wafting up from the pan. It's a scent that promises sweetness, a hint of what's to come. As the sauce thickens, it deepens in color, transforming into a sumptuous amber-hued caramel. It's not just about the taste, but the aesthetics too. The caramel will add a beautiful glossy layer to our cake, making it visually appealing. The trick to a good caramel is patience. You don't want to rush this process. Let the heat do its job, breaking down the sugar and blending it with the butter. It's like watching a piece of art come to life, one stir at a time. Eventually, you'll see the caramel reach the right consistency. It will be thick yet pourable, smooth and glossy. It's a sight to behold, this caramel of ours, a perfect blend of sweet and buttery. It's the heart of our pineapple upside-down cake. Once your caramel is ready, pour it into the bottom of your greased cake pan. This is the foundation on which we'll build our cake. The caramel should coat the entire bottom, creating a thin layer that will caramelize our pineapple slices to perfection. And there you have it. That's the secret to a perfect caramel sauce. Remember, it's all about patience and constant stirring. So are you ready to move on to the next step? Let's get those pineapples ready. Next, it's time to arrange your pineapple slices on top of the caramel. This step is not only important for the flavor of our cake, but it's also what gives our pineapple upside-down cake its signature look. Start by laying your pineapple slices in a circular pattern, making sure each slice overlaps slightly with the next. This will ensure that every bite of your cake has a juicy piece of pineapple in it. Now, for a pop of color and an extra punch of sweetness, let's add some maraschino cherries. Place a cherry in the center of each pineapple slice. Isn't it starting to look beautiful already? But remember, the cherries are optional. If you're not a fan, feel free to leave them out. With our pineapple layer all set, it's time to move on to the cake batter. This is where we'll bring together all our ingredients to create a moist, fluffy cake that complements our caramelized pineapple and cherry topping perfectly. In a mixing bowl, combine the flour, granulated sugar, baking powder, and salt. This forms the dry base of our cake batter. You'll want to whisk these together until they're well blended. It's these little steps that ensure our cake will rise evenly and have a great texture. Now it's time to introduce the wet ingredients. You'll need pineapple juice, eggs, some melted butter, and a dash of vanilla extract. The pineapple juice not only adds flavor, but also keeps our cake moist. As for the vanilla extract, it's like the secret ingredient that ties all the flavors together. Pour these wet ingredients into your dry mix. Use your whisk to combine everything. The key here is not to overmix. You want to stir just until you can't see any dry flour. Overmixing could lead to a dense cake, and we're aiming for a light, tender crumb. As you mix, you'll notice the batter becoming smooth. That's your cue to stop. It can be tempting to keep stirring, but remember, less is more in this case. Your batter should be creamy with a pourable consistency. If it's too thick, don't hesitate to add a bit more pineapple juice. Now that our batter is ready, it's time to bring back our cake pan with the caramel and pineapple layer. Remember that beautiful design you created with the pineapple slices? You're about to cover it with cake batter. But don't worry, it will reappear in all its glory when we flip the cake after baking. Pour your batter over the pineapple slices, taking care to spread it evenly across the pan. You can use a spatula to smooth the top. This ensures that your cake will bake evenly and have a flat surface. It's all about the details, folks. And just like that, your pineapple upside-down cake is ready for the oven. But before it hits the heat, take a moment to appreciate your work. Baking is as much about the process as it is about the final product. Now carefully pour the batter over the pineapple slices in the cake pan. You've done a fantastic job so far, and it's only a matter of time before you're rewarded with a delicious homemade pineapple upside-down cake. Now, pop your cake pan into the preheated oven and let it bake. You'll want to set your timer for around 40 to 45 minutes. This is the perfect time for the cake to bake thoroughly and for that rich caramelized pineapple topping to form. But how do you know when your cake is done? Well, there's a simple trick for that. Around the 35-minute mark, start checking your cake. Take a toothpick and insert it into the center of the cake. If it comes out clean or with just a few crumbs clinging to it, your cake is done. If it comes out with wet batter, it needs a little more time in the oven. But don't worry, you don't need to open the oven door every few minutes to check. Just use the oven light and you can see the progress of your cake baking. You'll notice the cake starts to pull away from the sides of the pan, and the top becomes a beautiful golden brown. That's a good sign your cake is almost ready. And remember, every oven is different, so it might take a few minutes more or less. The key is to keep an eye on it and not to rush the process. Good things take time, especially when it comes to baking. Once your cake is baked, take it out of the oven and let it rest in the pan for about 10 minutes. This allows the cake to cool down slightly, making it easier to flip later. But don't leave it too long in the pan, or the caramel might stick to the bottom. And there you have it, folks. Our pineapple upside-down cake is out of it. The smell of the caramelized pineapple and the warm cake filling your kitchen is just a teaser of the delicious treat that's about to come. Now, all that's left to do is to let it cool in the pan for a few minutes. Patience is key here, folks. We want the cake to be firm enough to hold its shape when we flip it, but not so cool that the caramel hardens and sticks to the pan. Now here's the part. Take a plate larger than the cake pan and place it upside down on top of the pan. Hold the plate and pan firmly together, and then, with one swift motion, flip them over. Ta-da! Just like magic, your cake is now right side up, revealing a beautiful, glistening layer of caramelized pineapple. The sweet aroma of caramel and pineapple fills the air, and the vibrant colors of this classic dessert are a feast for the eyes. And there you have it, pineapple upside-down cake, a true classic that never fails to impress.